Hello and welcome back to On Storytellers Night. I am Nathan, joined as always by my co-host Josh.
Good day, everyone.
So let's just start with a little bit of small talk. So what have you been up to since we last spoke on here?
Well, I've been doing pretty much nothing, mate, to be fair. I've had a very chill week since we last talked. The only day that I've had that's been somewhat busy was I wouldn't even say yesterday. I said the day before when I got my bike fixed.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I've done nothing much. I've been enjoying the sun, waiting for my dad to come back from his week away holiday so then I can go back to work and get more money from him.
Oh, is it? Have you started your week off now, haven't you?
Yeah, I have.
You've started ECX, mine starts next week. So, yeah, so nice and chill time for this week then.
Mm-hmm.
Fault that. And me, myself, I've done work. Sunday, I did take my mum to Bristol, in fact, to go to Costco.
Okay.
Rather than because we always go to Cardiff, and the distance is about the same. So we thought we'd go there and go to Cribbs Causeway as well. So we went there, and we do like our Pizza Hut. And pretty much every Pizza Hut in Wales is closed, apart from a few deliveries, and delivery pizza is a completely different pizza to the sit-down ones. They've changed it all because what they have usually with Pizza Hut is the base is quite greasy and oily because they put a bit of oil in the pan, piping hot. So when they put the pizza dough in it, it kind of fries the bottom, makes it crispy.
Yeah, I know where you're on about. I've been there once or twice before.
Yeah,
they're not half bad.
We've always loved Pizza Hut. Like since I was a kid, we used to go to Pizza Hut. It's always been the same. But now in Wales, they've got rid of all the restaurants and you're going to get takeaway. And they've changed the dough, so they don't do that anymore because it's too much hassle. And they roll it in like the semolina flour, similar to like Domino's, things like that, but it's kind of a bit bitty and sort of grainy on the outside. And my mum hates that, so she hasn't been enjoying it. So we went there, have a bit of a treat and all-you-can-eat buffet. So that was quite nice. And they had like 10 different pizzas on the buffet.
It's been a long time since I've been to a Pizza Hut.
And like cheesy garlic breadsticks as well, like these big, I say breadsticks, they're like big pieces of bread with like garlic and cheese. They're always good, but I've never had it with cheese before. So yeah, so I may have had a little bit too much pizza. I probably only had about 15 slices or something of garlic bread and salad. So, you know, make the most of it. Like, and we went shopping, bought a couple of things and went to Costco. So it was a nice day out with my mum. So that wasn't too bad. That's about all I've done and that. And same as you, videos and chilling and all the usual nonsense that we do. So, yeah. Right. Let's make a start then, if you're done.
Yeah, sure. I'm done.
Okay, so today I'm going to pose a little bit of a question that's deceptively simple when you think of it, and then it goes a little bit deeper. It's nothing too deep and kind of thought-provoking, but it's kind of interesting. So, simple question is, what even is a celebrity? Okay, so always have celebrities like, you know, Roman emperors, TikTok stars these days. There's always been kind of famous people around, you know, and how has that changed over time? So obviously at the moment, the big ones in the news, obviously Donald Trump, who we're all fed up of hearing about, and obviously the other day, sadly, we lost Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
So there's always famous people kind of out and about in the world that we kind of see. So thinking about kind of in the past, you know, let's have a look at kind of ancient fame versus modern fame. The kind of difference, right. You know, where did it start? So who are the first kind of celebrities, do you think?
See, that's a bit difficult because celebrity has been a big thing for a long time. And in my mind, the first big, and I mean, I still think this person's paramount to this day, Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, I know. I mean, going back further than that.
Further than that.
Historical were the first big ones. So you think about it, the kind of celebrities, they've always been around. It's famous, but a lot of it will be royalty and things like that. But scientists, actors...
See, I don't count those... when it comes to like royalty and world influence, stuff like that, I don't think they're celebrities. They're world leaders. They have prestige. When you hear the word celebrity, you think of musicians, actors, game character, voice actors. And
these days, yeah, but
yeah,
it'll be
but
people that would be celebrities would be people that are well known. So I've just pulled up a random list. So of the top 10 celebrities of all time,
okay, I'm
and
intrigued.
most of them are religious. So Muhammad being the top one. So
As
obviously,
in,
as in the Prophet Muhammad.
oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, big spiritual political leader and that sort of thing. Number 2 on the list is Sir Isaac Newton.
All right, that makes sense.
Makes sense. Next one is Jesus. Once
Go
again, we're going
figure.
into the territory of we won't discuss real, not real, made up, make believe, and all that with a lot of this religious stuff. But however you look at it, a famous figure from history. And then Buddha is the next one. And they go through the list like that: Paul the Apostle, Confucius, and there's lots of people like that. Johann Gutenberg, the inventor of the printing press, Christopher Columbus, Albert Einstein is number 10. So it's kind of who was making an impact at that time. You think people like Beethoven and people like that, people would have gathered to see them and to hear
See,
their music and that sort of.
King Henry VIII would be a
Yeah,
good celebrity. That he was
exactly.
well known for
Well, I don't know if good
sleeping.
celebrity is the right
No,
term,
no,
but
no,
yeah, a
no, no,
well-known
no.
celebrity. Yeah,
A well-known one. I wouldn't say good one, but he was known for um, beheading and divorcing his wives.
wives. Yeah, I always forget the poem thing, but yeah, that's the thing. It's always like that. So it's like, what's the difference between the celebrities of past to kind of modern influence and so on?
All right.
People
Well,
like Julius Caesar, had all these statues made for him. What do we have today? People with millions of Instagram followers.
I'd say celebrities back then compared to nowadays, for where in our lifetimes, celebrities back then were people that were discovering the world, people that had prestige in a country, people that had authority. Otherwise, now it's different. People who are big for the world to see, hundreds of millions, if not billions of eyes can see this one person because they are doing something different.
Yeah. A lot of it
That's
is
different.
sports at the moment. So look, doing
Yeah,
a quick
sports.
search. Who do you think the most famous person is today?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, exactly. Which is ridiculous. What is it? 700 million Instagram followers? That's just insane.
Across all of his platforms, it was nearly 2 to 3 billion
It's insane,
as of
isn't it?
last year. It's
Yeah.
nuts.
But you look at,
I will say he deserves it. The work rate that he has put in for his
oh
entire
yeah,
Manchester United and Portuguese career and sporting career, his early days, he proved that he knows what he's worth. And as soon as he
yeah,
went to Real Madrid and then did other stuff in Europe, he
mm,
proved more of what he's worth. Not just what he's worth, but double the amount.
yeah,
So he's one person that no matter how many people will say, "Oh, Messi over Ronaldo," I understand the debate, but to put it in perspective, Ronaldo had more of a rougher upbringing than Messi, and Ronaldo's done better for himself and his culture in Portugal than most
mm,
other footballers can.
yeah. Well, this is the bigger people like that. There's a reason behind it. We
Mm,
get like look in the past, Albert Einstein. I said Julius Caesar. Famous figures that are either leaders or royalty
yeah,
and that sort of thing. They often did something. Obviously, a lot of the bigger celebrities then, as I said, people like Beethoven or Shakespeare. People want to go and see the latest Shakespeare play. These people were famous because they were doing something. They either created something or making a change happen. Or Winston Churchill, Hitler, obviously not for the right reasons, but
no,
they were because they were making some kind of change or something that people want to be part of, people wanted to see or be around. And there's some kind of value, I think, is what it was in the past. You look at sort of historical ones, said Charlie Chaplin. I know everyone wanted to go and see his new movies. Whereas look at kind of today influencers in like quotation marks, they don't always bring anything to it. Like bugbear of mine is like the Kardashians. They're famous for being famous. They're not famous for actually doing anything. They're just
yeah.
famous for being famous people, which is ludicrous. And there's stuff like Big Brother and all the reality TV shows in it where people just want their 5 minutes fame. I want to be famous, whatever, just so I can be rich and famous. And Everybody will
Here,
know me. Oh,
here's something down to throw your way then. Do you think it's clear as day for a lot of people, but in your opinion, does being a celebrity and having that amount of fame get to people? Like, does it
100%.
affect them? There we
Yeah,
go. I generally think the
100%
same.
changes people. Yeah.
Right, for my example is for the bad, not for the like, oh, changing for the good or
Oh no, a
mysterious.
lot don't. You look
Yeah,
at it's like some famous actors and so on that go completely off the rails. You're not allowed to stare into their face and look at them when you're on set, and and it's like the whole thing. If you've ever seen Spinal Tap, and they start talking about, other bands and so on, where they wouldn't go on stage until they had certain M&Ms. You had to take out all the other colours and only have a bowl of like red M&Ms, and all these ridiculous things that people demand. Or they're not going to go on stage, they're not going to do the show because they want these things absolutely perfect, ridiculous things that they want. And that's the trouble. People get like that, don't they?
but there's another stage of it affecting a human, and that is for example, I'm going to use the guy who plays Jeffrey Dahmer in
Yeah.
the Netflix adaptation. He did amazing before that, but the moment he's still amazing. Don't get me wrong. I don't remember his name.
He was Quicksilver, wasn't he?
Yeah, in the Fox franchise.
Yeah, but he's been in quite a lot because he's an American Horror Story for a while.
Yeah, American
He's
Horror
been in a
Story.
lot of stuff. So he's been around for quite a while. He was also in Kick-Ass as well. He was Kick-Ass's friend. And Kick-Ass was obviously played by the other Quicksilver. So that was quite an interesting kind of spin on it. But he was in that as well. But yeah.
I mean, what I'm trying to get across is the actor. He went through so
Evans
much.
Peter.
Evans Peter.
Yeah.
He went through so much
Mm.
in that production. It affected him when he came out. He retired from acting for a couple of years, and when his first big screen reappearance was WandaVision, and he hasn't been in any project
Well, you
since.
look at Austin Butler as well, who played Elvis.
His
For
voice
years,
changed.
he's had the problem. His voice has completely changed, and
He had an identity
can't get out of it.
crisis.
Yeah, it's what a lot of people have. We'll have to talk about the one we all love to absolutely hate, Jared Leto. He goes in for the whole completely over the top, method acting where he becomes a person and you have to like call him by that name when he does stupid things on set. And it's just like, that's taking it, it takes it too far. And it doesn't work. Sometimes it works. He's done some amazing films. I wish he just sticks to singing because he does my head in now because he's in everything for no reason. And he ruins it quite often because he takes things too far. And yeah, it's a bit, but that's something we're going to discuss another day about acting and actors. We'll do that at another point. I think that'll be a good one we'll do later on. Right. So, a lot of it for people these days, I think they want fame because they'll get something out of it. Yeah. So they'll get money, they'll get freebies, they'll get something else. Whereas in the past, a lot of the fame wasn't purely for that. They got it because they were good at something, because they were a great leader, because they were a musician or a composer or an artist, and fame was a consequence of that. And same for acting. Charlie Chaplin and everything else didn't do it, I assume, just for the money, because the money wasn't there quite the same. In football, in sport, people did it for the love of the game, the love of the sport, the love of athletics or whatever else. Whereas these days, a lot of people are purely in it just to make the money. They don't care about the club they play for. They don't care about the team they're on.
It's disgusting.
All about, I want the money.
Is disgusting.
Exactly. But that's, I think, the difference in historical, personalities and famous people is, a lot of them wanted to, make their mark on history and, be immortalized in some stories and, textbooks and on film or whatever. But that was only kind of part of it. Like, Winston Churchill didn't want to become famous. I'm pretty sure he wanted to make a difference. And he did make a difference, that good or bad, whatever else he's done. But during the war, he was, one of the big players in that. And, history shows what he did then. Same for people on the other side and everything else. So there's, presidents and prime ministers and emperors and great leaders are doing it for to make a difference. Most of the time, they're not doing it for personal gain.
You see,
Unless you look at current president of the United States, who is purely in it for personal gain. He is the classic, I want whatever I can get, and the more famous I am, the more I can get, the more I can get away with. He's the classic example of a bad celebrity, I think.
The thing is, the people that fame get to the head, they think they can become untouchable.
Exactly.
But then the people, for example, I'll just throw Diddy. P. Diddy, for example, out there. He claims that he's untouchable. He's currently going through a court case. Beyonce, she thinks she's untouchable, but most of the music industry are scared of her.
Yeah, but you look at big examples in this country that, people that got away with it and then died, and then it all came to light.
Yeah.
Jimmy Savile, perfect example.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect example.
Where fame, somebody that wanted the fame and everything else so that he could get away with what he wanted to do, be untouchable. And that's exactly what he did 100%, which is just, it says a lot about the BBC as much as it says about him and the police and everything else, because they all want, and the royal family, they're all associated with this guy because he was so famous and well loved by the populace that they turned a blind eye. They all knew what he was doing, but they let him get away with it because it helped them get what they wanted, whether it was charity donations or more fame so they could get something else. They all wanted something out of him and got it from him, so they didn't care what he did on the side, which, is one of the big sort of problems of it. Right, let's have a look at the next part. So, birth of the modern celebrity. So, how media's created a new kind of fame now. So, obviously, back in the day, Hollywood's golden age, all the movie stars that were kind of, held up on a pedestal away from people, and they were just like, these amazing people. You look at Clark Gable or anyone like that, Marilyn Monroe, the tabloids and so on. I don't think back in those days would be so critical of people and go and look for the dirt on them. Whereas now, paparazzi are always looking for the bad things they can say about them, and catch them about their makeup or catch them looking a little bit chunky or not looking as glamorous. Whereas back in the day, it was kind of, they were trying to show how glamorous and kind of above everyone else these are, these mythical figures. Why is that kind of changed, do you think? How is media changing what a celebrity is?
Money. All these corporates, and you see it a lot more in the States than you do United Kingdom. You hear these big newspaper articles about, for example, wasn't my fault looks depressed in this new photo. Do you? Or was that just perfect angle at perfect time for the paparazzi?
Yeah.
It's all about being told, I want you to go out, stalk this person, get a photo at the right angle, right moment, right time of day, with the right face, come back, print it out, and we get money. And you get the check because you got the photo.
But why do you think they're going to make money out of those? Do you think it's because, it's the classic thing, everyone wants to see somebody fail? This person has more than me, I want something bad to happen to them.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's always, I want this person to fail. It's more of, for the whole clickbait situation, it's been around for years, but not in the term clickbait. You could see a very well-known celebrity face in the newspaper back when, and you'd be like, well, I know him. And then you see the text underneath the photo. That's the old version of clickbait.
Yeah.
It's, again, just drawing in attendance.
Try and humanize the celebrities and get away from these celebrities are amazing. People, look how glamorous and perfect they are. And as I said, back in the golden age of kind of cinema, these people were kind of shown like that. They'd be in magazines and TV, and they'd be, picture perfect all the time. The pictures were always staged and to make them look as good as possible to, show off the next movie. Whereas now, there's a lot more focus, I think, on trying to make these people seem like they are just normal, average people with all their flaws and their problems, and often a lot more problems than average people have because, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, spousal abuse, and all of that is kind of thrown into the newspapers and the websites and YouTube and all of that now, isn't it? So do you think it's to try and bring them down a peg or make everyone else feel more like them so they kind of associate themselves with them more and that kind of thing. Which way do you think it is? Because it's kind of an odd one. It could go either way.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's kind of a grey area because there's so many pavements to take to each answer from each question that you've asked me. I personally couldn't answer that. That puts me in a bit of a roundabout.
I think it might be a kind of combination, because if you take a picture of somebody that's looking not quite as good themselves, say, Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's standing on a boat, got a bit of a... Oh, in fact, Vin Diesel was a good example when he's on the boat looking a bit, like he's put on a little bit of weight, should we say. And people going, oh, look at him, he's letting himself go. So you get the two types of people that will still basically click on that picture. The people that want to go, oh, he's let himself go, he looks dreadful. And the people that go, oh, it's nice to see that he's a normal person. So you kind of get both ends of the spectrum, but both of them will want to see the same picture. Yeah, it's a kind of a weird thing when you think about it, isn't it? That one bad picture of a celebrity will appeal to different parts of the populace for completely opposite reasons.
It's just that this world is full of people that hate big people for the sake that they're jealous. Yeah, I'm jealous, but I don't go around spreading rumors or jumping on the bandwagon of slagging
but to be
celebrities
honest,
off.
I think that's a very British thing, more than an American thing. You know what I mean? It is very much kind of British, hoping people fail or be brought down a peg.
I do see it across the world. I do see
but
it.
I mean, traditionally, kind of, it's always been kind of a British, not necessarily in a really malicious way, but in a kind of, oh, look, they've got their comeuppance. It's always been kind of look for the worst of that because you haven't got something, so bring down a peg. I just think it feels like a very British where we look for the kind of the bad in something. It's like the weather is always something bad about the weather. It's not the whole rain and nice weather for ducks. It's always I'm going to get wet. It's that kind of, I don't know. It's weird to say about British people. The whole UK really. That's on the one hand you've got the whole stiff upper lip and and during the Blitz and everything, and we'll get through it and we'll band together and sing all these songs and everything else. You get that part of British, but also the other part where they kind of like watching people fail and watch people being making fun of. Look, a lot of the TV shows we had, especially in the 80s, Beatles About and all that kind of thing, the prank shows and all that sort of thing. Where you're seeing somebody and they are making fun of them 100%, and people love that because it's not happening to them. So I think there's kind of that side as well, the kind of dark side of it.
Okay.
It's a really odd one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's again, it's what I say. It's a very grey area. No matter what you say, you can be right or you can either be
exactly
wrong.
Because it's kind of both ways. Because we have people that kind of sit both ends of the fence. Okay, so moving on from there a little bit, because that's such a difficult one. What about when we look at celebrities like Elvis, Marilyn Monroe, and people like that? How much of what we saw is the real person? How much of it was put on for their public image to make people think they're this kind of person? How much of celebrity previously, more than now, was it all kind of show? We have a lot of that, obviously, with all the stupid influencers, and it's always a day in the life. Look what I've done this day. That stupid guy who washes his face and he dips his face in like a bowl of ice water like 20 times a day, and all of this. It's people kind of show, look how wonderful my life is, how amazing it is, and it's completely fake. All the celebrity and all these fake celebrity and influencers, they sit on these private jets that are not real private jets. It's just a part of one, and they take pictures going, look how wonderful my life is. You get that kind of fake one like that's completely fake. Then you also get the bigger celebrities, and how much of that is fake.
The
certain way.
Fakest, in my opinion, this is my personal opinion, the fakest platform is TikTok.
Oh, 100%.
Because there's this guy, I think you know him, his name's Jack Doherty.
Yeah. I
cannot stand that unprivileged backside wipe. I really do not like him. He's just one of those people that he's got a punchable face for what he does.
quote unquote, he lives with two of his girlfriends. They get along with each other, so they live with him, and his girlfriend. He owns 100 cars. He owns a big house. He has
Yeah, but
security.
now you're getting into the territory of the worst one of those, Andrew Tate.
Yeah. Right. This
Let's
is
be
where
honest.
no, no, no,
Let's be
no.
honest.
I'm going to say this now. I really dislike Andrew Tate, but the stuff he says about men's mental health, I couldn't agree more. When it comes to talking about females and how the world works, I completely utter agree.
Yeah.
And I will leave it at that. Men's mental health, he has the perfect demeanor for. He speaks out the truth because I see it. When I think it before he even says it, most men do. But again, when he speaks about women and the way how the world
This is
works, I
once
disagree.
again the trouble in it. If he stuck with men's health and trying to help, men's mental health and things like that, and he used, his influence as a platform to kind of, get that into the forefront so people think about it a lot, because, it is still something that a lot of people don't consider men's mental health at all, not as much as it should be. And a lot of men do struggle. And it's something that somebody like that should. And I think it's worse then that he does little bits of that, because it's drawing people in with that side of it, and then they get bombarded with the rest of it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's too easy to get drawn into that in the completely wrong way. So he's using it in the wrong way. If he used it in the right way and got, this is something we need to talk about, it would be better. But it just frustrates me when people kind of do that. But once again, look at his whole, look at my wonderful life, look at all my millions of cars and all the money I've got and this perfect lifestyle. And it's just think, yeah, but who is the actual guy behind it all? Because he wasn't always like that. Fame has turned him into that. He's always probably been a little bit like that because it doesn't come from nowhere. But fame has kind of catapulted all the bad qualities he had into more, because he thinks more people will listen to him, and it's kind of the more people listen to all the bad crap he says, the worse he'll say it, because it's kind of feeding into it, isn't it? And that's one of the big things about celebrity is, good or bad, it'll feed in. Yet you get somebody like Keanu Reeves, who is possibly, everyone says is one of the nicest people you could ever meet.
Yeah, that brings up
stuff for people.
The wedding photo. He was walking past a wedding and like, do you want to come to my wedding? He turned up. He actually turned up. He's so nice. Hayden Christensen is another one. He's so. A lot of people are like that. There's a lot of nice celebs who would do anything to go out their way. Jack Black. He's the nicest, but when he comes across paparazzi, he acts like an absolute fool and like he's a toy box. He couldn't give a crap what he does. He's just trying to be funny about it. And that's what gives him his fame, being funny. He's a comedic entity.
Yeah. And then, I said, you get other people. Obviously, we've mentioned them before, so we'll not mention those two. But those brothers, they are like the worst type of celebrity because they use it.
I swear, we mention them almost every single episode.
The trouble is, because of the things we watch and the things we do,
they're somehow situated with it.
Yeah, because I know I'm not a huge fan of boxing, but a big fan of like Sidemen and a lot of the other YouTubers. So there's always a lot of kind of overlap with that, and obviously WWE as well. We'll get the other one there. So it's kind of, you can't get away from them, which is annoying. It's like, love or hate KSI. As I said before, I can't stand KSI. I like JJ when he's being JJ, but when he's KSI, he does my head in.
You've done. It's like this whole baller league that's going on. There's so many big celebrities in this at the moment.
Yeah.
I told myself when it started, the first episode, 2 to 3 weeks ago, I'm actually going to sit down every Monday and watch this. Yeah. I haven't even sat down to watch it because JJ's on goddamn commentary.
No, I can't. No.
I haven't even given it a chance because of that. If he wasn't on commentary, best believe after recording every Monday, I will sit down and watch it until 11 p.m.
I think he is a good example of this, of the person versus the persona.
Yes, he's perfect.
I think he is a perfect example, because you look at him when he's JJ, he can be quite a nice human being, and he does stuff for people, and the people around him, and his friends and family he looks after, and he's done some amazing things for some of his friends, and people around him. He's been a really genuinely nice human being. And then you look at KSI, and KSI is, let's be honest, an arsehole most of the time. He's loud, he's obnoxious, he's self-centered. He doesn't care about anybody else. You can tell that by all the stuff he does with a certain Paul brother. And trying to get into crypto scams and the lunch leads or whatever the bloody hell it's called and all that kind of stuff. It's just nonsense one after another. He doesn't need the money. This is what annoys me about him and some of the others, is they're trying to make money off their fans. Their fans don't have a lot of money. And there's not just them. There's a lot of other ones that have had like these cookies and stuff like that, which are an absolute rip-off. And these influencers are making money off people who don't have the money. A lot of their fan base are younger.
This is why
teenagers and younger.
What's the word? I respect Vicstar, for example.
Yeah.
When JJ brought up, we should do NFTs, Vicstar immediately shut it down.
Yeah.
And I've listened to a few different angles on this. It caused a lot of problems between Vic and JJ. JJ was profusely asking, not asking, demanding, Sidemen should do NFTs. Vicstar's like, no, that we don't need it. We're a made group already, and it can cause a problem. Look what NFTs are going through right now. They are dying out.
NFTs are stupid. I don't understand why people think it's a good idea.
If you want a photo, just take it.
Yeah, there's an image on the internet that's just mine and nobody else's, and I've got rights to it. It's on the internet. Shut up. You can't even you buy a video game on the internet or a movie, it's not yours. They can delete it anytime they want. What's the difference in NFT? It's the whole Bitcoin thing is just nonsense. People give it value because they want it to have value. There is no value there. Well, we've spoken about that before, haven't we? So, right. But that's a lot of it these days. I think there's a lot more fake people that are celebrities than there used to be. They're all trying to be a person they think will get them the most money and the most fame, which it's not what it's about. You look at other people like Markiplier. He's not fake. He's quite an interesting guy. He doesn't pretend to be something else. He's just him. Love him or hate him, he doesn't really care. Or PewDiePie. PewDiePie was one of the biggest YouTubers around. And he said, look, I'm just taking a back step. I'll do the odd video when I want to, but he's pretty much retired. And I think the stuff he does now is a lot more grounded. It's a lot more interesting. I love watching his vlogs while he's in Japan and his family and everything else. He did an interesting video the other day about dreams. And he started to actually note down his dreams every night. Like when he wakes up in the morning, he's got a pad next to him and he'll write them down. And then he tries to figure out if his subconscious is trying to tell him something and try and figure out if it has meaning for him. And a few times it has, and it's helped him. So it's been really interesting to see kind of his journey with this is nonsense to hang on a minute, that kind of makes sense of what's going on. And it's seeing the kind of real him, I think, has been absolutely amazing. And seeing, not just that loud, obnoxious bloke that he always has been on the internet. It's just PewDiePie being just a genuine guy. And it's amazing to see that kind of transformation where he's completely flipped it the other way. Whereas most people start off quite nice and then they just turn into complete nightmares. So it's quite interesting. And that puts us on to the rise of an influencer. So, what is fame now? How do people become famous? Is it just because they become viral, or is it a talent? Does everyone want to become famous now?
I think I think it's a problem now, especially now because of the likes of TikTok and everyone wanting to get into YouTube just to become famous.
Yeah.
But people like us, we're not doing it to get famous. We're doing it to just enjoy
it. Yeah, exactly. We've done it for
a lot of people
reasons.
Don't see it like that. A lot of people see YouTube and TikTok, Instagram as a platform to become a speaking person, a spokesman, and it's not what they're intended for. It's intended to express and learn, and to find out what could be done. But people use and abuse these sites to try and get a foothold in places where they shouldn't really be.
It's the dawn of the side hustle. That's what most of it is. And you look on YouTube or anywhere else, it's 5 different ways to have a side hustle that'll pay you 50,000 a month or anything else. And you look at these people, and some of it is quite laughable. It's like, this is how to make a guaranteed $10,000 a month on YouTube, and they've got 57 views, and you think, you don't actually know what you're talking about, do you, mate? You haven't gone viral with this, so anything you're saying is nonsense. It's like writing a book. It's like how to get rich quick, and there's only one line in the book that says, write a book that says how to get rich quick. That's basically what these people are doing. What do you think about it? That's what 100% of these people, it's just, they're doing it just so they can make money, and it's so frustrating.
It's a quick buck, yeah.
It dilutes what's on, like YouTube. You look at, some of the OG YouTubers, like I said, PewDiePie and Markiplier, they did it because, they want to do it and they love doing it. It wasn't about the money. But you look at people now, and it is just, half of them are just there just because they want to make some money. It's just a side hustle. And as soon as they made their money, they change. Kwebbelkop, people like that.
Oh, God.
He started off an okay YouTuber, and then he just completely went mental. It's like, look at this amazing, couple of $1 million house. And then he just started to just not do proper content anymore.
Yeah,
and all the AI stuff.
Yeah, AI, and pre-recorded a lot of different videos, and he cut dialogue from other videos into one, so he didn't have to just sit down, make the effort.
No work at all. Yeah,
I'll give him credit where it's due. He knew he screwed up, and he's come back. He's lost a lot. But from losing a lot, he understood his flaws, and he's trying to build it back up. I found out he's speaking to Slogaman and Jelly and Craner. They haven't spoken to each other for years.
Yeah, I used to watch them with Jelly because Jack used to watch them, so that's where I knew Kwebbelkop from, was from Jelly, and it was just like he just went really weird. You think it was quite interesting stuff back then.
Yeah,
there's loads like that seem to do really well for a while, then something happens, and there's loads like the old Minecraft YouTubers and stuff like that just disappeared.
One of my favorite Minecraft video producers at the moment is Sunday. He's very old, but he was part of Team Crafted, and he mentioned, I think it was about 3-4 years after Team Crafted disbanded, that fame got to some people. Fame didn't hit other people in particular, and that caused their channels to die out. But the people that hit the fame mark went over the top. And for example, Sky Does Minecraft, he had this beef with JJ, and that started the whole diss track era. Yeah. Fame gets to people, and some people it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Oh no, exactly. You look at some of the people in our phrase, remember Stampy Longhead.
Yep.
Remember that? He's been around. He I believe he was going to leave for a while and not do anything anymore, but I think he still releases some. I think his most recent one was about 2 months ago.
Yeah, no, he mentioned at the end of his Minecraft world that he's going to take a couple of years off YouTube, but he's still going to occasionally he said he's aiming for once a month upload just to check in on his viewers, and his viewers check in on him.
Yeah,
it's like community.
Every few months,
people don't have a community.
That's
it's
the big one. Yeah.
Oh, I'm a big fan, or I don't like him. But if there's a big community around the one celebrity, then it's going to work. Henry Cavill, Britain in general, and any geeks or gamers around the world, they relate to him and they give him that community.
So, flipping that on its head, what do you think of the celebrities that then go on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, The Rock, and people like that, and Will Smith? Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Personally, I think they should stay in their own lane.
See, now this is where I'm going to slightly throw my 2 pence in. I would say it's going backwards again, where it's a grey area, because people like Kevin Hart, he went on YouTube and he did the ice bath stuff with random sporting celebrities to understand how they become them.
When they do it, when they do it in the right way, and they do it so they create a show for YouTube, that I'm fine with. But it's when people do it and it's just clips of the movie or something, and they're not doing any effort, and they've just got a YouTube channel just to get more
Promote.
money. You know what I mean? It's just like
JJ has
treat it
that.
like
KSI is his product. JJ Olatunji is JJ as a YouTuber, and then you have his Instagram and TikTok, which is that's JJ Olajide Olatunji. That's his personal life. You have 3 separate KSIs, and it's going back to the JJ talk. KSI we know is the musician, the boxer, the businessman. JJ is the over-the-top YouTuber, and his full name is that's what everyone loves.
Yeah.
Him being nice, giving people millions as a wedding gift, etc. It's just a lot of people have, I wouldn't say split personalities because that's completely different. We spoke about that earlier. But I think it's more of the case that they are conscious of the other things that they can be.
Well, for him as well, it's, and they've said it themselves in like interviews, and I think in the Netflix one, it's like JJ is kind of quiet. He doesn't like to kind of, do stupid things in public. He gets embarrassed and so on. But when he turns on KSI, he'll just do anything anywhere. He doesn't care. Like the whole saxophone thing in the gold suit. It's still one of my favorite videos.
Yeah,
that was absolutely brilliant. But that's the JJ coming out of his shell that we enjoy, because he was awkward, or like, I know the old one where, he's in like a monkey suit and they're asking questions like, "You calling me a monkey?" And all of that was just, it was ridiculous. It was stupid. And you could see he wasn't quite comfortable. And that's what kind of made it work. That's the JJ we kind of miss. And now KSI is just, look at his interviews, like for the boxing. It's just like, you can't smack talk properly. It's like, what the hell is he talking about? He comes up with stuff.
I respect him a lot.
I can see John Cena and all that. It's like, what are you on about, mate? Like, seriously, grow up.
That's cheesy.
And that, like, he doesn't, he's not good at that kind of side of it. He's not good at the smack talk. He just tends to shout abuse at people.
Let's quickly speak about The Rock, because when you mentioned the celebrities at the beginning of that, there's one person I really want to speak about, and that is Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
Is the fame deserved? Fame not deserved, or does it meet in the middle? Like, he is the perfect in between of famous.
He shouldn't be where he is at the moment. As a wrestler, fine.
Yeah. Okay.
As an actor, no. Most
he's
of the
over
roles,
the top. Yeah.
He's himself. He doesn't do anything else. But it's once again, it's one of those, he's too self-entitled. It's like he has all these, the clause and stuff in his contracts. He can't get beaten up by somebody else. And all
they can't.
He thinks it's just what, it goes along with like what I don't like about KSI is that The Rock now thinks of himself as The Rock. He doesn't see himself as Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He is The Rock. And The Rock has to have this. The Rock has to do that. He did amazing. Fair play. He did so well for himself in WWE. He rose from nothing. He, changed his persona into The Rock and did something with it. And he's done amazing stuff. We can't deny he was, talented, knew exactly how to work the business. 100%. I can't fault him for that. And he did well to get into movies. But he always plays the same person. I couldn't say I could watch a few different movies with The Rock and forget it's The Rock. No, he's always The Rock.
Yeah, there's it was 2016, 2017, and 2018. And 2019, I think that's a bit of a stretch, but every film that came out in those 4 years,
it was all
I couldn't get away from his face. No. I just saw a big, bold Anawoki member, and I didn't know what to do. You had Rampage, you had Skyscraper, you had 2 Jumanji films, and a lot more. It just got overwhelming to the point where no matter if the film was good, like Rampage, in my opinion, is one of his best films. But I hate watching it now because I've seen too much of The Rock recently.
Yeah,
way too much of him.
And it got to the point where every new movie would have The Rock, and they'd be talking about doing a remake. Like Big Trouble in Little China is one of my all-time favorite Kurt Russell movies, one of my all-time favorite movies, full stop. And they were talking about The Rock being in it, taking that part. It's like, that's completely wrong, misses the whole point. He just wants to do stuff that he thinks he can make some money on. He doesn't do stuff because he thinks it'll be, a groundbreaking movie or an important story. He's just thinking how much money he can get out of it.
See, now, with The Rock being in the board of TKO for wrestling, UFC, and boxing, and anything physical that's in between, when it comes to movies, he has a right. Because when it comes to like the Iron Claw with Zac Efron, the film from last year, hang on, Nave. When he watches that film, he mentioned in a tweet or a thread that he had some involvement with the cast, all because he is a part of the board and he wants things to be done in a specific way. That is called greed, and that is abusing his power.
Yeah, which is what he does with movies and stuff all the time, and it does my nutting completely. It's just, Right, let's move on from that because a few things I want to cover. So here's the next one. Why do we care so much about celebrities? What is it about celebrities that make us want to? People worship celebrities and influences people's lives and the things they do, the things they buy. Why? Why is that? Why do we feel connected to these strangers?
Entertainment. That's one of the things, because there's a lot of people entertained by celebrities.
It was.
No, I think it still is, because people watch celebrities and want to read about them for their own entertainment and enjoyment. They want to see either the good things, the bad things, the ugly things, or they just want to find a quick little interesting snippet of information about them, and they get entertained off it. It is entertainment.
Yeah. So I think it's just, it's really kind of a basic form of reality TV.
Yeah, it's its own genre.
Watching, who's broken up with who, why did they break up, and all that sort of thing. But do you think people actually admire these people, or do they just love the drama that these people have in their lives?
Again, it goes back to the great. It's people love drama, and people just want to be a fan and want to follow said celebrity. Like Lance Reddick, the whole Destiny 2 community followed Lance Reddick because he interacted with the fans. He was the fan of the product.
He played the game.
Bear with me, Nate.
Yeah.
All right. Let's continue. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. Can't remember what we were saying.
Involvement with Lance Reddick, how the Destiny 2 community gets involved.
Because he actually played the game. He was part of the community, which is good when you get somebody that's a fan of it. It's why people like Henry Cavill, for The Witcher and things like that. He's a big fan of it. So it makes a lot of sense then that, he's part of it because he's one of us. And there's nothing worse than getting somebody that doesn't like the thing that they're involved with. You look at Star Wars. That's a classic example. How many of the newer Star Wars actors don't actually like Star Wars?
Yeah,
don't want to have any part of it. Kylo Ren, for a good start. He doesn't like Star Wars at all. He thinks the fans are weirdos and he wants to keep as far away from them as possible. And he wasn't even very good. Adam Driver's he was shit. I did not like Kylo Ren at all.
The thing is, this is what I'll defend the recency of Star Wars since Force Awakens, because it's the writing. It's not the actor's fault. The writing, they have to follow with what they are hired for.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%. That's something else we'll touch on in a later one. I have some ideas about. But yeah, that's the trouble. But you also get, take for example, Snow White. The failure of that wasn't just because of the writing and directing. One of those stars there really did it in for herself with her bad attitude towards it. And that's I feel a lot of the time it's kind of like that kind of attitude we get towards a lot of the Star Wars more recent ones, where people are trying to I know not just the actors, but and a lot of the time the writers and directors are putting other things in it instead of the story. You know, what's wrong with having just a good story? It doesn't have to have a deep in meaning or say something about society. It can do, but it doesn't have to. It can just be entertaining. I know there are good ways to do it. If you want to do it, a drama or sci-fi or something else that has a bit of social commentary, look at Star Trek. Look at Doctor Who. They've always faced those, racism and sexist stuff, all of that kind of thing they have covered, but they cover it in a different way and show, oh look, there's this planet. Classically they did it back on Kirk's day in Star Trek. You had these race of people that were black and white. Half their face was white, half their face was black, but the two races were against each other because it was switched on each other's faces, so they didn't like each other. And and that was the whole kind of racist black and white thing taken to quite an extreme. But they covered that sort of thing. So, they did it as part of a story and then they moved on to something else. But today, it seems to be the core, right? How can we make this inclusive? How can we make this about this? And, it's kind of like, oh, why? Why? And then people become famous for the wrong way. Rachel, whatever her name is from Snow White, has now become infamous in the complete wrong way that she didn't really want to, because now people really, really dislike her because she's using her fame as a platform to say about what she believes and what she likes. You get a lot of...
When she said that Snow White, the original source, it's blamed, it's weird, it's not natural. It's Disney. Like, come on. It's meant to be appealing for children, and it's an animation. It's clear as day at that time, at that period in time, because we have the sausage party now. It
is outdated and it's old, but there's nothing wrong with the core story. I'll go back to things like Peter Pan. The newer version of Peter Pan they did was ridiculous. Wendy doesn't need Peter Pan to defend her. She's going around with a sword and fighting pirates. They've missed the whole point of what Wendy was. Wendy was, she was just a girl. She was sometimes a damsel in distress. But the main thing she did? She taught the Lost Boys there's more to life than fighting. She taught them the softer skills in life, how to be nice to people, and that kind of thing, to teach them that it's okay to grow up. It's okay. You want to be around family and friends. All of that is okay. That's what her role was in the story. And they changed it to make her a strong female character and completely lost the whole point. And that's what I think annoys me about a lot of it and a lot of celebrities. They miss the point of a lot of this kind of thing because they want to say what they want to say. It's one of the things I like about Ricky Gervais when he does, the Oscars or whatever.
He's having to go with
celebrities. It's like, come up here, say thank you, bugger off. We don't want to hear about your politics. You're famous. You don't have any right to tell people who to vote for or what to think or feel. You don't have any say in it. It's nothing to do with you. And I think that's one of the big ones, is a lot of people tend to use their fame to try and make everyone think the same as they do. It's Scientology and flat Earth. That is still, I just don't see how people can believe in a flat Earth. It's such a stupid concept that you can pick holes in within about 2 minutes of somebody talking about it, and yet they'll just blindly believe it or believe that Trump knows what he's talking about. It's just, it's bizarre that people will listen to a famous person and go, that person's famous. They must be right. I'm going to take their advice. Oh, don't. They're famous. They're not famous for being smart. They're famous for wiggling their arse on TV or something. I'm not going to take some, financial advice from somebody that just wiggles their bum on TV. How does that give them any kind of insight into money? It doesn't.
It doesn't, no. It just gives them more of like, oh, look what I can do, you can't. I bet you're jealous. And before you know it, that's caused a whole uproar of people like, this person does this and that. And then you've got the other minority that's like, oh my God, this person's done this and that. Let's follow them.
Yeah.
It's a tit for tat. That's what it is.
The trouble is as well, a lot of the kind of celebrities, the more influencer type of celebrities that we're having more and more of, they're going into it to make money. So, with all the crypto scams and everything else, they're quite happy selling things to their fan base that they know is crap, that they haven't got anything to do with. People have always done that, but it's a lot more of that now because adverts and everything is ingrained in everything everyone does. And they go on Facebook, there's 2 million adverts. Go on YouTube, there's adverts all the time. Instagram, it's mainly adverts. You just look on Facebook, and every other post is an advert. Even more than that sometimes. You can't see anything your friends have done because everything's an advert to sell you something or make you watch something. So difficult to navigate, what's real and what's not real when all these people are saying, this is what I do every day. Look at these supplements I take and look what I look like. And, it's so hard for the average, Joe on the street to actually know what's real and what's not real. And with obviously AI and filters, you just don't know what to believe anymore. It's like a lot of these celebrities, they don't actually look like they pretend they look. They have so many filters and everything else and Photoshop. Are there even real people anymore? Not the influencers and celebrities.
Sadly, we won't know because a lot of people go down the road of faking their stuff now instead of actually physically producing it. They make enough physical assets, and then they just sit back, relax, and hire people to combine all of their products and be like, all right, I get to chill. I get money, you get money, happy days. I don't get to do anything. I've done my part. And that's the type of system that I really despise. It's most people in the world don't get to the prestige that they're at by doing fucking nothing. They get to where they are in life because they've grinded, they've tried, and even if they failed, they've tried. It's all about trying. And most celebrities and influencers, actors, comedians, they don't try anymore. They just do or copy source.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I think. It gives me kind of worried about, next part on to is the future of fame. Where is it going? Is it all just going to be AI influencers and, virtual avatars and so on? And a lot of, people never showing who they are. And it's all about, just their voice and just trying to sell things and, brand personalities, not real people, but a personality that a brand decided, right, we're going to create this new influencer. These are the things they're going to do. These are things they're going to say. And they're created by the brand just for selling things. Almost like a mascot, really, isn't it, when you think about it?
Oh, but yeah, definitely.
That's kind of where I think we're heading more towards, because it's all about those brand deals. And people then sticking with brand. It's like, they've paid me to do this. And you just do that all the time. You'll see some YouTubers have had the same brand the whole way along. The same people pay their bills all the time. Well, can you trust them then when they're trying to advise you on something if they've always had the same sponsorship? A lot of them got NordVPN or whatever. Well, if they've always been sponsored by them, do you know that's going to be a good product, or is it because they've always worked with them? What about the other products? And I think that for me is the biggest worry, is how much it's gearing towards buy this from me, which I think is dreadful. What do you think it'll be in the future? What'll be fame?
I think I'll be on the same wavelength with you, and I'll say it's more processed.
Yeah,
it's going to be more of a processed situation. People will just come home, do their normal things, and fall into the trap of everything is either been AI edited, AI made, and you don't know tit for tat about it. You just think it's normal until the penny drops, and by the time the penny drops, it's too late. The future is here, and the old world that you knew, you were in it years and years ago, but you never realized that you're in the now, which is the future.
Yeah.
This is why I'm scared for most smaller companies in film and gaming and everything in between. They're going to lose out on it because all these big AI applications and devices are going to be used primarily by the big names, which won't give the smaller names a chance in hell.
But then the thing that I look at with that is, it's the whole thing. What is real now? Is the internet, is it just purely entertainment, or is there something real occasionally there? And I think we're going to get to a point where all the big companies, like you're saying, they're going to start using more and more AI and things generated for them. But you look at a lot of the AI stuff, and as we said before when we were talking about AI in a previous episode, is it does lack something. And the good thing, you look at a lot of like indie games. There's some indie games doing incredibly well compared with the big studios because they're actually trying to put something better in place, something that's playable, something that works first time, and not release it quickly and then release patches for the next 4 years so it works properly. I think there is a hope that the indie games and the smaller movies and that sort of thing will start coming forefront because people will be fed up of exactly the same nonsense all the time. Sam, you look at a lot of the big movies and it's getting very samey. There's a lot of CGI. Look at Marvel. The CGI is getting worse and worse and worse because they're trying to do it quicker for less money. But it's not as good as it was like 10 years ago.
No, it wasn't.
Because they're trying to rush it and use AI for a lot of it and get away from having actual artists that know what they're doing. That's why I think it's weird that Marvel is getting worse, yet Star Wars is getting better. Look at Mandalorian, the special effects and so on they did there. They still had spaceships that they built for a lot of the scenes, but then they've got that amazing green screen room where they're projecting the backgrounds onto the walls around the actors, so it looks realistic. That's amazing, but yet Marvel is looking worse and worse and crapper and crapper. Why can Star Wars do it? Marvel can't, but they're owned by the same bloody company. Weird.
Because people at the head of the table want it done differently.
They want it done quickly. They want less money. That's why the TV shows aren't as good. The movies haven't been as good. I said, the new Captain America movie felt like a TV series. It didn't feel like a big budget movie. It's kind of weird. Not right at all. Right, we should probably look at kind of finishing up. So, any last thoughts about celebrity in the world of influencers and everything else?
Nothing that I think should be said besides something that I want to say to the audience.
Yeah.
I just want to point out there that not everyone is who you think they are. Such as the Daniel Tate.
Such as another one. Oh my god!
Such as the Tate brothers and the Trumps, the Paul brothers. Everyone uses fame to get what they want, no matter how innocent they are. They always do it in their advantage, and not in their disadvantage. So when you get a notification, because this falls into the scam episode that we did ages ago. When you get a notification by a company or a very well-known celebrity, don't jump at it because it could be other people involved. Yeah. It's just with this world falling into the world of Hollywood, per se, the golden era of Hollywood's long gone. It's now the underbelly. It's the dark and gloomy times in Hollywood. People use Hollywood as an example all the time of a good place and a bad place. So don't always trust your favorite celebrity because you don't know what they truly are like. You might never meet them. So stop treating them like your best friend.
It's the same with footballers and sports and any kind of celebrity that it's, people do get the impression this person's famous, I can be their friend, they can be good. No, they're on a different kind of plane of existence to the rest of us a lot of the time. Some of them, like I said, Keanu Reeves is an amazing human being. He's nice, but also don't take advantage of them. Some celebrities are genuinely nice people who've got where they've got to with hard work and caring about others around them. So don't take the mick. If you go to a meet and greet, be respectful. Don't go trying to grab them and hug them and pick them up or whatever else you're trying to do. Remember, they're a human being, and they're going to have a long day. So be nice to them, respectful. Tell them something nice that they've influenced in your life or something they've done for you, and make their day as well. As people like Kane, the wrestler, he always talks about the one thing that changed his life was when he was asked to go and visit this young lad in hospital. And then he had his picture taken with him, and that was the last picture that kid ever had with anybody. And his family cherished that. And it's amazing that some celebrities can make a difference to people's lives as well. But just be careful. Remember, they are a person. Sometimes they'll try and take advantage of you.
It's treat everyone the way you would want to be treated. Don't take anything as... Don't take anything with a pinch of grain of salt. Always be nice to people the exact same way you expect people to be nice to you.
Doesn't matter where people are in life. If you work in, a call center, in a bank, in a shop, everybody should be treated the same. Doesn't matter the security guard, the cleaner, the top manager. Everyone is a person. Treat everyone else like a person. It's exactly how you would want to be treated.
You'll get a lot more respect that way as well. Believe it or not, it's true. And I'm only 20 years of age, and that's one thing I do daily: treat people the same.
Yeah, it is. Talk to, I will talk to anybody, and that's what it should be. It's never be afraid if somebody, is there you don't know. Obviously, stranger danger, and be careful of that. As you're a bit older, you don't have to worry about it quite as much. But just remember, everyone's going through stuff that you may not know about. Everyone has their own struggles. Everyone has their own problems. Just be nice to people and just try and, make people smile and just make them not hate that they've had a horrible day. Say something nice to somebody. If you see somebody that's wearing something nice, sometimes say, "Oh, that's a really nice suit. Where did you get that from?" And just be a regular person. Let's try and get some niceness back in the world, shall we? That's what we need. Manners. That's
precisely.
What we need.
Anyways, mate,
manners and courtesy.
Exactly that. Manners and courtesy, because with the more of that, there will be a better place.
Exactly. 100%. Right, and that's the end of that. So let's just let you know where else you can find us if you want to know a bit more about us and see us where else we are. So you can find me as Nukami on Twitch, or if you pop over to YouTube, you can find me on Wasn't My Fault.
You can find me on Twitch, The Welsh Assassin 998, and on YouTube, The Welsh Assassin.
Well, thank you very much, and hopefully talk to you all again soon. Bye-bye for now.
Goodbye.